Welcome everyone to another edition of Chai After Dark. I am Sameem and I am here with Shabnam. Hey Shabnam, what's up?
Not much. I'm just hanging out watching Mountainhead.
Yeah, we're watching Mountainhead and we're going to talk about it today. It's on HBO Max. Shabnam and I eventually will have a villa on some mountain and then, we can do the same thing to people. But Mountainhead is a comedy, drama, satire on HBO Max, and it stars Ramy, Youssef, Steve Carell of The Office fame, some guy named Corey Michael Smith, and Jason Schwartzman, who's been in a lot of peculiar, sort of funky-ass movies like those Wes Anderson movies. So the casting was super interesting, and these are four wealthy friends, and not just wealthy, right? Like mega billionaires. Billionaires. Doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or if you have 30 billion, you can probably do the same shit in this life. So yeah, they all get together because one of them created an AI algorithm that is apparently ruining the world. So they went to go run as usual.
So does art imitate life or does life imitate art?
I don't know. I mean, do you think they started making this movie before the full transition into oligarchy in this country, or where did it come from? Because this movie's pretty well produced. It's in a $50 million mansion. It's on some hill. They spent a lot of money making this movie.
Yeah, I think obviously it's probably art imitating life, with a little bit of embellishments, at least as of now. But who knows? Who knows where we're going? I mean, as of today, but who knows, right? So basically, like you said, it starts out a bunch of tech bros in this ultra beautiful, ultra wealthy, luxury Utah mountain lodge called Mountainhead. That's why the movie's called Mountainhead. And they're just escaping the world and coming to kind of just bro out for a weekend while they watch the 99.9% in the world have a cow and go to shit, right? It would just literally be like if they did that right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had this thought for a few years, and this was well before the actual oligarchy that we're living in. Okay, I know I keep saying oligarchy. I probably say it 7 times per episode, but if somebody buys your country so dramatically and in the public eye, it's kind of silly not to call it what it is, right? So shit happened and now we're here.
People could argue that it's literally just, like China buying our country, right? Like China already did that.
Oligarchy doesn't have a nationalistic component to it. Only in Russia it does.
True. Yeah.
Here it does not. Right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. I think you're right. Art imitates real life. I don't think there's anything embellished in here. I would actually argue that these four seem a little bit more reasonable than real life billionaires, which is wild because they're trying to trump these four up. Well, not Ramy Youssef's character. I guess he's supposed to be the normal one, but the other three are completely insane. And we should say the fourth one's not a billionaire. His net worth is $521 million. So he's a loser.
So they call him Soup for Soup Kitchen because he's the poorest.
And he's
500 million.
And he's having like grandiose breakdowns that he can't become a billionaire by the end of the movie. Like that's his big problem in life.
Yeah. What's hilarious is, so his business is that he started a software company for like mental health. It's kind of like a Headspace type app, right? Yeah, so it's hilarious because he's the hippie one, the like one who's like poor because he's just in this like mental health field. It's just such a reflection on our society.
He's trying to get funding. He's trying to get $1 billion from Jeff, Ramy Youssef's character, and then he like holds it over his head by the end of the movie, even though Ramy Youssef was like, what the fuck, I'm not going to put $1 billion into this new Headspace app. But he's also like a jack of all trades, the poorest guy. He was advising the Argentinian government on some coup. Remember? He like zooms them in.
Oh,
so he has all these other jobs as well. I think it was trying to show like it's not like necessarily hard work that makes you a billionaire. It's legit luck because in one of the scenes in the beginning when they're all reminiscing, Steve Carell's worth like 60 billion and Ramy Youssef's character Jeff is worth like 30 billion, but like there's a pop in the stock market, so his like shit goes to like 61 million. And he beats Steve Carell by $1 billion, and then you can see Steve Carell's face just like completely drop. But yeah, what are we even talking about? Does this even sound real? Like,
but
it could be.
Well, the interesting part is that one character, Ven, whose real name is Venus, which rhymes with penis, in
It's also
case
spelled the
anyone didn't
same
know that. And
on the movie poster.
and his name is
Venis. So I think it's supposed to be a joke.
okay, and it's Venus, and his last name is Parrish.
Penis Parish?
So it's
Penis
almost
Parish?
like penis varish or something like.
Penis vanish.
It's like. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like they did that on purpose. But basically, he runs an AI-powered social platform called Tram that basically floods reality with deep fakes, and it creates, obviously, complete chaos. So it's like, I don't know, as if you had like an Instagram or something, but everything, you didn't know what was real and what was like AI, what was a, AI deep fake, which to some extent we have that issue now, but I think we have the confidence that most of the stuff we see is relatively real, right?
Yeah, for this situation in
ahead.
Tram, that's TRAAM is the name of the fake company within this movie, but the images that they show are not unlike the images that we're seeing today of the ICE raids and things like that. But you're totally correct. The point and the plot of the movie is that people cannot realize that these are fake. But I think in today's social media world, what's fake is the editing. Because you can edit any 12-minute video into 30 seconds to portray your point of view to the viewer. So do we need AI for propaganda? I don't think we do. So this Ven character ends up becoming the world's richest man, right? I think he's supposed to be like cool Mark Zuckerberg, even though this guy's not cool either. Like, he's like, remember in the beginning, he's like, I'm so stressed out, I need to jerk it every 2 hours. And then he's like, time for jerk session.
It's like okay, Venus.
Go penis at Venus. Or go Venus at penis, sorry. But yeah, I mean, no, but, AI is fucking up this world already, right? Like everything's not even Google search turned into Google AI. It's the same shit except less reliable. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, but I think so having editing, right, so that we change the look of people and like improve their look is one issue, and then having propaganda is another issue. But then altogether not knowing whether something is actually real or not is not something we've had a problem with at a large scale. And that's what they were describing here. So I think it's kind of like taking our current tech issues to a whole new level. Because like for the most part, if we see something happening in downtown LA or in like war-torn areas or wherever, we have the confidence that that's like accurate, right? Like not that it's completely made up out of nowhere. Right. And that's what this is getting at, which is really scary. Because if you take it to that level, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, what would people do?
Maybe this movie is foreshadowing something that might happen within 10 years because the images that they were showing that people were getting all worked up on, it is like an instant kind of thing, right? So if there's not enough time for you to back off and actually verify if it's legitimate, then I could see it happening. But also information travels so fast. So if there was a fake sort of event within a country or a city that people had to take arms for and congregate in the main center or whatever it might be, I think they would find out that it's fake just as fast as they thought it was real.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other big part of this is Steve Carell's character, Randall Garrett, which I think is supposed to be like a Jeff Bezos type, right? Or is it Steve?
I think he's supposed to be like maybe like a Bill Gates.
Yeah. Bill Gates. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay. So like a Bill Gates type. So he's a little bit older than the other guys and he finds out that he has cancer. And so he becomes really interested in Venus's tech around basically like uploading consciousness to
that's where they lost me, honestly. It's like really.
Yeah. So like basically like if you die, you'll still stay alive.
It's like a Black Mirror shit, right?
And then I had this. Yeah. And then I had this like deep conversation with Brian about how I think brown cultures tend to just be a lot less like freaking out over death than like white culture.
Really?
And yeah, I think so. And then that's what I think, right? And then I just like basically made a joke, and we like kind of ended the conversation about how maybe it's because there might not be white privilege in the afterlife.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I would say your life is so good.
Maybe,
yeah, you're right. You don't want to take a chance, and maybe our life sucks so bad that we're like, holy shit, take us to heaven, and we're done with this life. So
yeah.
I could see. Yeah, come on, hell, heaven has effects on people, but Steve Carell's character here, he's wanting to be the leader of he wants to be like the first prototype of consciousness being uploaded into human being, right? So he wants to be like the first.
But I feel like he wants that because he knows he's dying and he's afraid of dying, right? Because Ven tells him we need to do like a mouse and a pig and like or like a mouse and a monkey and a few pigs. Yeah, no, and then he says, and a few morons.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then it's you, which this is another kind of theme. You see how like these people kind of look down on like everybody else essentially, but especially stupid people, like the stupid masses. I guess
that's literally what Randall was saying in the beginning of the movie. He comes in just calling everyone dumb, including the 521 millionaire guy. He's like, you're lower level intelligence, and that's why you're not a billionaire. Yeah, so. Maybe he's not supposed to be Bill Gates. I don't think any of these characters actually represent a billionaire because it doesn't seem like Mark Zuckerberg can't get 2 sentences out without somebody telling him what to say. So obviously he's not one of these guys. Yeah. And I don't think Bill Gates is that obsessed with his afterlife. Maybe he is. Who knows?
I think all of these characters are like mixtures of people and some just made up stuff.
Then they bring in Ramy, Youssef's character, which is completely fake, by the way, this ever benevolent billionaire. This guy wouldn't exist in real life, right? And his net worth is like 60 billion. It's not like he's a $1 billion guy. But I wanted to point out there is an insecurity with him that's a recurring theme throughout the movie. Did you pick up what it was?
No,
it's
what
his
is
girlfriend. They never show her.
Oh, duh. Yeah,
and in the beginning of the movie, they do show her, and he's like, please don't have sex with anyone at a sex party that you're going to. And she's like, it's not a sex party. It's just a party where people have sex. And then he's like, so it's a sex party. So I don't know how you're a billionaire with 60 bill. And come on, man. Like, I'm not saying control your woman, but maybe a little bit.
I think it's...
Would you be cool with it? If Brian was like, I'm going to a sex party, but I'm not going to have sex with people, I wouldn't be cool with it, like, at all.
I can't even imagine
asking. I know. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it so specifically, actually. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
It's Shy After Dark.
No, it's fine. No, I mean, I suppose if there was a reason for him to do that, I would like.
He's got to make sure there's no cameras here.
For sure.
He's there for work.
Yeah. If it was some legal privacy bust thing, then I would be like, okay. But who would want that? Actually, it's funny you say that because I was watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and there's this woman whose husband goes like apeshit because she goes to Chippendales. For any of our listeners watching that, it's like Jen Affleck. Her husband goes crazy insane because she goes to Chippendales with her friends, and they're like in their early 20s, so they're complete morons, or like mid 20s. And I was like to Brian, I was like, would you care if I went to Chippendales?
He wouldn't care.
Like with
no way.
Yeah, he wouldn't care. But then I was like, they're like saying it's disrespectful. And then I was like, I could only see an issue with it if I was like trying to go to Chippendales like every weekend. And he started laughing. He's like, if you wanted to go to Chippendales every weekend, I think that we'd have bigger problems.
Yeah, I don't think that would be like a trust thing. I think that would be more like, really? Like, you want to go to Hooters again to get the same chicken wings?
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to go to a strip club, like, or a male strip club, I wouldn't care, especially on a bachelor party or something like that. But Ramy Youssef's and then he calls his girl like every 20 minutes in the movie, and he's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's it.
And then eventually he can't get in.
Eventually
he can't get in touch with her. So he gets PIs and like private security go like find her and kind of be around her. Yeah. Stalk her for him. It's really weird. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Rich people like that, what they could do. This worries me too. I'm like, if I was... actually told a friend this. I'm like, if I had like unlimited money, you become untethered. Like if you don't have responsibilities, you have too much opportunity to do weird stuff. Like if every anxiety you get somebody to go spy on someone for you, or like you just feel like you don't need to worry about anything and you could just never have to work, then like why wouldn't you just go on a bender in San Tropez or something if you like had a really
all that does
depressed
is
time,
feed their
you know?
insecurities, right? So if they went to San Tropez and got laid with a bunch of women or men, whatever your proclivities are, what are you going to do when you get home? You're just going to have like a bender hangover, and not like, oh, my head hurts, but more so like, now I need more next time. So I think we've talked about this a lot in the past because we rail on billionaires so much, but I think the insecurity levels are so fucking high that's why they need to keep getting more money, because there's nothing else that's providing them security within their own soul. And I know that because I did work at a company where the billionaire he's pretty reclusive, I'd say, but I don't know if he was insecure, but he worked out so much. Like he was just so fucking ripped. And it was kind of weird because I'm like, you're a fucking big ass nerd. Like pick a lane. Like Bill Gates wasn't ripped, right? So it's like you were talking about like Andrew Schultz and those guys, how now they're like partying with billionaires. So it's like the nerds have met the jocks.
Yeah.
So you can't be both.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bezos, all these guys are trying to be both and they can't. But this guy Venn in this movie, he's both. Or they're trying to portray that he's both.
Yeah.
Like he's all tall and ripped and he's good looking for sure.
But that is an interesting concept, right? Because if you and everybody that's in your vicinity, so like all your dating prospects and your friends, can obtain pretty much anything, then you would start feeling insecure and like very competitive. You're like, wow, I need to be the hottest person to have a chance for anybody to like not cheat on me in 1 second, you know? And then it snowballs from there. I need to be like the hottest. I need to be the richest. I need to be and it becomes an out of control insatiability driven by your insecurities. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah. And they can't stop it because as they get older, they notice more and more things that people have. The only way to stop it is to be secure within yourself, and no amount of money can buy security. And I think that's why Jeff Bezos wears cowboy hats, and that's why Mark Zuckerberg wears gold chains. Like it's unreal. Like it's not cool if somebody picked it out for you. It's not. It's only cool if you have your own fashion sense and you're able to do it on your own, and they can't because they'd be wearing Patagonia, right?
And like, it doesn't feel sincere,
not at all,
right? Like it feels like some really hot girl that they were into liked a guy that wore that, and now they're like, I'm gonna try to be like that. That's what it feels like, right?
You know what I wear when we go out, right? Yoga pants, lounge pants. I get plenty of attention. I'm not saying it's great attention. I'm just saying I don't need to wear a gold chain. And then he wears that black shirt. It says like I don't know what the brand is, like Balenciaga or something. Like it's a cross. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Balenciaga.
And then he got a perm.
Yeah.
He already has curly hair, but you can tell he doubled up the perm. It's just so strange.
Wait, are you talking about one of the characters?
Maybe,
or
I
are
don't
you
know.
talking about
no, I'm
someone
talking
in
about
real
Mark
life?
Zuckerberg.
Oh, okay. Oh, a perm. Interesting.
We'll throw a photo up.
Yeah.
No,
sure. Yeah. So the cool thing about Ramy Youssef's character is his name is Jeff Aberdazi, and he's supposed to be the good guy, right? Which, like you said, is like not actually. I don't know that you can have a 60 billionaire that's like benevolent. He basically has software that'll check and that'll be like a checks and balances, and it'll help it'll basically uncover
tool.
Whether or not it's a moderation tool. Thank you. I was like really struggling there. So it's a moderation tool, and so Venus wants to buy that to save his platform because that'll basically take the temperature down, right? But then these guys are talk to me about this. I got a little lost in the sauce when they're talking about how if they just let it go and they let people be so confused that they don't know what's real and what's fake, eventually things will die down, or it's going to come to a head. I didn't get like where they were going with that.
Yeah, so Venn is on the side of his own company. So it's his own company that's perpetrating all this ridiculous AI into the world. And he literally says what you just said. If we make so much noise, it's like the Thanos effect from Marvel, where we have to kill half the population to become positive again, which makes no sense because you're going to end up killing the good people, right? So if you did pick and choose. But anyways, that's what he says. He's like, everything will work itself out because everybody will be able to tell it's all just silly. That's what he says at the end of it. He's like, it's all just silly. Because to him,
So he's saying,
more people interact,
so he's
the more
saying
money
that
he makes.
the more people act, the more money he makes, fine. But he's saying that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day what's real and what's fake. It's all like,
fun and games.
Even the real stuff is just just all fun and games, which is really rich of somebody, pun intended, really rich of somebody sitting on a mountaintop in Utah watching people in war-torn places and civil strife. So
they want a moderation tool within, what's the company called? TRAM. TRAAM. Yeah,
Tram,
so Tram needs moderation, and Ven is like, no. And then his right-hand woman shows up a couple times, which is kind of strange, like in this mountainous resort.
With his kid.
Yeah, I was going to get to that
baby.
after this.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about the kid first, actually, because it's so, creepy the way he was holding it. That guy's like a really good actor. And then he puts the kid down on the ground, and he just like does this, and the kid is just like spread out. And then he's just like staring at the kid.
Do you think it's...
I don't know. It might be real.
Yeah. So this happened to me one time with someone else's kid, like a relative of mine. They had a baby. And like I was playing with the baby, whatever. And then I was kind of done. So I put the baby down, like face down onto the carpet because I was expecting the baby to crawl away. Yeah. But then I didn't realize the baby couldn't crawl yet. So the baby just started like crying and was like, like, what are you doing? I'm stuck here now. So I'm like, maybe that's him. Maybe he thought like his kid would get up and start doing stuff, but his kid wasn't at that stage and he doesn't really know his kid at all. So that's what he thought.
I mean, it's good that they put that scene in because I'm trying to like say this without outing this person. I used to work for someone that was very well connected to a top 5 richest man in the world, right? So I can't really say who, but you know who it is. I'll tell you after. She was like, I can't like be with my kids unless I have a nanny, like nanny state. So if her kid was around, like we went to the Giants game once in San Francisco, she like had this meltdown because the kid asked for a hot dog. And then she's like, I don't know what to do. She didn't know how to order a hot dog at a game because she had 24/7 help. So I had to go get this fucking kid a hot dog. like I became the nanny. She like kept asking me for shit. And she would take me to like galas and stuff too, even though she was married. Like these like fancy galas in San Francisco and Palo Alto. Like I was her right hand man at her startup. This was like 15 years ago, but she couldn't do anything. So it reminds me of that kid being on the ground because she like literally couldn't handle her kids. Nor did she try.
Yeah,
I think she probably could if she wanted to, but she didn't want to. Right? It was a common theme, and then her and all her little buddies would congregate at these lunch places in Palo Alto, and no kids would be around, and they'd be like, yeah, the young kids are home with the nannies, right? And we just drink wine and stuff like that. So that's a very common story, though. That's not just a billionaire thing.
Yeah, I think like things can get away from you if you don't learn to do stuff for long enough, then you feel like you can't, right? And if the kid's already like a few years old and she's never done anything for it, then she probably feels like she can't.
To get,
right?
Like, you have to continuously do things daily, right, to be able to make them easy for you. You can't just like pick up and clean your house like once every 3 months. You know how hard it is? That's why you wait 3 months. You know, that day that you finally do it, you're like, shit, I should have done this earlier.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it is with like helicopter parents too. Like it becomes a, like they can't let go.
No, of course not. I mean, that's half the parents. Doesn't matter what the race is, and doesn't matter what the helicoptering is, what the topic is. It's just going to be what they're comfortable with. It's a comfort thing, the helicoptering thing. Like they can't really see their kid in a different light, so it has to be exactly what they thought it would be. But not this guy. This guy just threw his kid on the ground and was like, "You're on your own." And the lady picks up the kid, puts him in the car, and they like take off. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Parenting 101.
It's so weird. Yeah. So basically Ven wants Jeff's AI. He wants his code to create this moderation tool because he realizes that he can't just wait for this to blow over.
Steve Carell kind of convinced him to combine the companies, right?
Because they start seeing the news where he's getting a lot of backlash, and he's afraid that his
is this before or after they try to buy a country? When does that come? When they're like, our next step is like, let's buy Argentina, let's buy India. Remember they were like railing through countries.
Yeah, but that was because they started seeing.
Was that before they decided to try to put the two companies together?
Yeah, because initially they said they were going to just let it play out and let the world fall apart because they'll be fine. They'll just buy a country. And they were trying to buy a country. And then once they realized that like maybe that won't work, they decided, okay, let's go this content moderation route. But then Jeff didn't want to sell it to them. And so they start kind of arguing. And I was like feeling the rumbling of like a true crime scenario coming from the beginning of this. I was like, why are all these competitive ass people deciding to hold up in one secluded
Like what's going to happen with
together?
them?
Yeah. And that sounds like it could go really badly, right? Like ruthless, competitive ass people all stuck together in a secluded, isolated place. That sounds cool. So then we first see Jeff going to Randall, so Ramy, Youssef's character, going to Steve Carell's character, saying, what did he say? That they should take down Ven's company.
They should take Ven down for at least 5 years because he's not moderating anything. And we can bring him back like Steve Jobs came back to Apple. That's what he says.
Yeah, and what he says is, look, I know we all think the world is going to end, but I still think this girl Earth here, she's got, a couple decades left in her. Let's give her another go. Let's moderate stuff. Yeah. Let's take Ven down. And then, when we're back here in 50 years, we can, buy a country then. That's basically his pitch. It wasn't like super benevolent. No. And so Randall, he mulls it over, but then he decides like he wants to go against Jeff because I feel like the only real reason is that he's being selfish. He wants Ven's tech so that when he dies of cancer, his consciousness can live on in Ven's AI tech. And so he ends up going to Ven and they get Soup on board too, the soup kitchen, poorest guy of them all, 500 million for his like Headspace type app. And they all get together and they just decide they should like try to kill Jeff. They should try to kill Ramy Youssef's character. Yeah. It's totally like crazy.
Randall's idea at first. I was just sitting there thinking, and I don't know if murder would be the first answer in this. Isn't it usually like you're suing board members and you're trying to push people out? You play a little bit of politics. Maybe you fuck his wife. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like do something else first, man. Like you're gonna just go kill this dude. So then they convince the poor guy Soup, and then Soup is like, "Isn't it just so fucking badass if we kill someone?" Like then they try to hype themselves up like they're like fucking gangsters.
But listening to them mull it over and decide is also hilarious because they're a bunch of totally nerdy engineering guys. And they're like, hypothetically, if we do this, like, how would we do it? And then they're like, maybe we should consult with our lawyer and see if we would get a pass for this and like how to get around being in trouble,
like a sprint,
getting caught
at a tech company when you have a sprint for a week and you have to make sure everything's within line for some sort of product.
Go over all the
like
scenarios.
A product release, what could happen, what couldn't happen, what's bad shit. You're right, quality assurance. So they're like.
Yeah,
they're like, what would be the moral justification to not do this? And then somebody's like, well, it's murder. You're not allowed to. So they're like going through it all pros and cons. And they're like, the con is that it's not allowed and it's illegal.
Yeah, but they're like, the pro is that this is good for the world because we can
world.
Move into this age of AI and real life is becoming meaningless anyways. It's more just, an AI virtual world basically that we're moving towards.
And then it goes off the rails even further. Then is like, all of you give me your consciousness and I'll be the body. Like he's like, I'll be the guy that survives and I'll take all your consciousness. So then Jeff was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to do that either. So it just goes completely off the rails. Ven wants to be like the only human left on Earth with all the consciousness of every available human being. But they literally try to kill him. like 2 seconds later,
but
they show an attempted murder scene. That's the funniest scene in the movie, by the way, when they try to kill him that first time.
On the stairs, but like the way they do it is so like
typical billionaire dude,
like
trying to get somebody else to do your dirty work. So they are like, we'll push him. A fall is, and then I think they even said it like a fall is this percentage likely in a domestic scenario. So it could be conceived as an accident. So Jeff is standing over a staircase, and then all three of them run to go push, and then the two
But no, he's standing. He's standing over the staircase because one of the other guys, they're like, Yeah, it's a spiral staircase, and he drops the butt of a cigar, and he's like, look, it looks so cool going down, and like the way it hits the ground. So Jeff is like, oh yeah. And then they all come over there, and then they're all supposed to push him, but they leave the poorest guy, Soup, to do it.
Yeah.
And the rail is too high. So like Ramy gets like stuck, and he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, you could have killed me.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. Yeah. Of course 2 billionaires are going to back off. They ain't going to do it, man. No billionaire is going to commit his own murder. Like Soup, they wanted Soup to do it. That's like one thing that I thought was the only thing that wasn't true in this movie. The movie's absurd, by the way, and I think all of it could be true. The only thing that's not true is that the 3 of them decided to murder Jeff together. Because it would never be like that. It would be Randall and Ven telling Soup to kill them. They would never go in on together.
Yeah. But also, like, these types of people wouldn't kill someone with their hands. They would kill someone with their tech, right? Or they would hire someone to do it. These aren't the type of people that would actually do it.
Well, they tried, and they stepped back, and then they try again. And then they try again. So I don't get it.
It's
like
insane.
I do get it because I think billionaires have murdered people before, whether it's directly or indirectly, but we'll never know. That shit's always covered up.
Yeah, probably. We'll never know. Who knows? But yeah, that doesn't work. And then he gets kind of mad. And then they're like, we're so sorry. I don't know what we were thinking. They cover it up. It doesn't come to light to him that they were really trying to kill him. So then he's annoyed and he goes away from them. And they regroup outside and decide they are going to try to kill him at night. And so he goes to sleep. And then they go and they try and smother him. But they do like a terrible, terrible job at smothering him. So he gets out from underneath them and runs into the bathroom.
But then he finds out they're trying to kill him because they don't stop trying to smother him for a good 5 minutes.
And they're talking about it while he's getting smothered. Like,
and he's
really
like, I can't
poorly.
do it harder.
Yeah.
The pillow's already over his face.
Yeah. And so then he's like, why do you guys want to kill me? So then it all comes to light. They tell him why they want to kill him. And he manages to run away from them and he hides. So then they are all trying to look for him in the house. And one of them finds him in the sauna. And he stupidly locked himself inside the sauna. And
we keep saying billionaires aren't
like,
smart. Can you imagine a billionaire in a runaway situation? He's going to do the complete opposite of what he's supposed to do, right? So, of course, he's going to fucking hide himself into the sauna. That shit was hilarious when he was in the sauna, though. It's like they're like trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to kill him.
Well, they find him. Yeah, they find him and then they're like deciding how to kill him. Should they just turn up the heat and like wait for him to die? And it's like the weirdest. They're like discussing this and he's like, I can hear you. And then they basically decide to get gasoline and try to pour gasoline like into the sauna from underneath the door. So they start doing that and then he starts flicking it back with his fingers from the other side of the door. And it's such a disaster. It's like really, it's hilarious, but it's like insane too.
I think 4 billionaires fireballing themselves. Hey, have at it if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. And then he basically convinces them before they light the gasoline on fire to like negotiate with him. And so he ends up saying that he deserves a chance to negotiate and he convinces them. And so they don't light it on fire and they basically call all their lawyers and PR people to join them the next day at Mountainhead to get this deal done.
And does the deal get done?
The deal, some kind of deal
the movie
gets done.
Is pretty ambiguous at the end.
Yeah. Some kind of deal gets done where they're satisfied enough with each other. But the craziest part is Ramy Youssef's character gets out of the sauna. He's upset with Randall, Steve Carell's character, because he's like, I always thought of you as a father. He feels like they had a real, or at least on his end, he thought they had a real relationship. And then he also kind of forgives them. Like he feels like, wasn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like he acts as if like it was just like a business deal gone wrong or something, and it was totally fine.
But he does threaten Ben
like,
at the end, though. Then he's like, "I'll get you eventually." So they all just go back to normal, I think. So they're gonna just run into that world that's on fire from AI miscontent.
Yeah, and it was almost like he views this threat to his life as like part of the business business risk or something, which I'm like, this is wild, which is why I was like feeling from the beginning. I'm like, why would you ever go to sleep in the same building as somebody that was this competitive with you?
Well, they all knew each other, right? So Ramy's character came from Ben's company, and Steve Carell, Randall, was supposed to be their mentor. So But
do you think this is realistic? Like, I don't think these types of people would ever like go on a vacation
Well,
together.
okay, so hey, Sameem's tea corner here. That same person that I'm talking about that couldn't handle her kids, one time she asked me, legitimately, I'm not like bullshitting any of this. She's like, why does my husband always go to Dominican Republic? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And then she's like, every year around Thanksgiving, he goes with the other founders, and then they come back like in a few days. I'm like, it's a sex trip. Like, it's obvious. And I actually like said it just like that. And she's like, that's what I thought, but I just like, they don't say what they're doing there. And I'm like, dude, and at this time, a lot of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff was coming out. So it was pretty well known that people were flying to these islands, especially like 100 millionaires and billionaires. So I think they do hang out. And they do shit like this.
But that's what I mean. I feel like if you hang out for a sex party, it's different because everybody's kind of like under some kind of influence or more under multiple influences, and they're just kind of partying. That's kind of almost safer than to have real conversations.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it's better just to like have a good time. And don't say
have
anything.
A good time, be surface level. Don't say anything about your business. Don't say anything about your family.
He was too forthcoming with Randall, with Steve Carell's character. That's what I thought was a huge plot hole as well in the beginning of the movie. He just comes up to him and says, we should get rid of Ven. And I'm like, well, Steve Carell's character was an initial investor in Ven in Tram, so that's kind of strange to go to like Facebook's first investor and be like, hey, can you get Mark Zuckerberg out? It would never happen. So yeah, it showed a lot of naivety from Jeffrey, Ramy Youssef's character, to do that. So it's a movie, I understand that, but you're totally correct. I don't think any billionaire would be a variation of any of these people, particularly Jeffrey.
Yeah, and I don't think people like to go on these things unless they're like a total boondoggle or it's like a business meeting for a finite period of time, because I just think about a job that I had that was like the most politics in the job. Would I ever want to go on vacation with those people?
Yeah.
Like, why would I ever?
We've had offsites at our tech companies, though.
Sure, if it's paid for, if it's completely paid for, and it's an offsite for the company, it's company building. It's kind of like part of your job. But would you ever just go on vacation for fun? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody would do that.
People do it. I didn't do it. Like when we went to Greece and Portugal and stuff. I don't think we went to Greece. The COVID happened. We went to Berlin.
But I feel like you were in sales, so even that was
all the
part
sales
of the job,
dudes
right?
would leave. They would leave a little early or stay over, and they would go to different countries and stuff. And I was never invited, so I didn't go.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like getting fucked up and shit, like doing their thing, right? So that's a little bit different, like you said. That's just partying. So I think you're right. I think a billionaire is very closed off. I don't think they talk like this.
Yes.
I think they only speak when they think they can get value out of it, and you can tell from their mannerisms. Like when Jeff Bezos speaks, he doesn't really speak. He like kind of smiles like an idiot, and then he just kind of looks around.
You know what I've noticed? The richest people I know, all of a sudden, when they reached a certain wealth threshold, I stopped knowing where they live. Do you notice that? Like, I feel like there's...
Yeah.
I feel like when you're in the tens of millions, your friends still know where you live. And then once you go beyond that, like, I don't know where these people live. Like, I don't know where they moved to, but like, they don't tell people where they live.
The year before, I was taking a client out to dinner in LA. I drove up from San Diego, and we go to this restaurant. And this dude that I used to know, like not through the industry or anything like that, but because I met him through a mutual friend, Desi guy, South Asian guy, he probably sold his company for 150 million plus, but I thought he was living in New York City. I run into him at a restaurant in LA, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, I live in Dana Point in South Orange County. I was like, what? Like, why? And because he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So you're totally right. Yeah. And if he wants, he can move to New York tomorrow.
Yeah. But I feel like it's like somewhat of like a safety thing. Like they don't let people just like
really
know where they live.
I mean, in Palo Alto, though,
I think
everyone knew whose house was whose, like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. Everyone certainly knew because they all actually live downtown, right? Like downtown Palo Alto. They have gates and shit, I think. Some of them didn't, though. Everyone knows where all the celebrities live in LA, but what are you going to do? There are robberies though. They have like the bling ring, and then lately in LA they've been having athletes' houses get murdered. Sorry, what am I saying? Burglarized, not murdered.
Yeah. Interesting. Anything else you think we should cover before tea time?
I have tea time that's actually really interesting, and I think
let's do that.
But we're about to go very political. So this movie's called Mountainhead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know Ayn Rand? I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like a female author from the 40s and 50s, and a lot of libertarians in the United States follow her and the methodology.
Okay, yeah, vaguely, but I don't
Russian
know
American
much about,
author Ayn Rand. So she has a book called The Fountainhead. And The Fountainhead, I think this is where they got the name from because they linked it on Wikipedia.
Okay.
This is not my own thing. I would never do that. But The Fountainhead was like Rand believed to be that there's an ideal man and that individualism is superior to collectivism. So that's like her big thing. And I think that's why it's called Mountainhead, because they want everybody else's consciousness and they get to be the individualistic top being. So the movie is off this book called The Fountainhead. And
and it's almost like they don't really care about the collective.
They don't even care a little bit. They're going to buy a
with,
country, screw everyone, kill everyone, doesn't matter to them. And we didn't really get into like the AI miscontent that they were showing. It was like political violence, all kinds of shit, like complete uproar.
People getting burned alive.
Which actually turned into real life revolutions and protests during the movie. So as you said, art imitates life, but then sometimes life imitates art, because that art could be the AI that's fucked up, and then look what happens to other countries.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fountainhead was a book. I never read it. I'm not going to read it. I don't believe in individualism over collectivism whatsoever.
Yeah, you know, if you're talking about extremes, right? Like individualism extremely.
That's like that's a libertarian.
Obviously,
that's a very specific libertarian thing.
Oh, really? Yeah. But it's a selfish ideology, right? It's like as we see in this movie,
exactly what it is, right? Yeah, until something affects you.
But then if you think about,
you don't care.
Right. But I think there needs to be a balance, because if you think about the collective over the individual to an extreme, I mean, I think that's what a lot of my gripes with Desi culture are. They want everybody to be like part of this collective and conform and be this one certain way that becomes oppressive to the individual.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So like, I think there needs to be some balance between the two is what I'm saying.
I totally agree. And it's very difficult to do that without specifically self-reflecting that you need to become like that, because it's so easy to absorb yourself into propaganda or into the community that you're in. Like, just look what's happening in this world, in specific regions of the world, where two different factions of people have two completely different point of views, in turn pulling every single person apart, right? Like, there can't be any middle ground, but you need to like really look deep within yourself and be like, hey, am I an individual first, or do I want to help the greater good?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people do not want to help the greater good.
Yeah, sure. But also, I think whenever there's a change in relationship on a micro level, like, you know, people always talk about like, oh, I'm going to go no contact from such and such toxic person. And it's like, that's great. But then you also have this blowback of you feeling lonelier.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't know, there's a lot at play. Like, humans are complicated and everything needs to be balanced, and we're terrible at balance.
I have a lot of toxicity in my life, and I probably cut out the toxicity that I didn't need to. So that doesn't even need to be an individual, right? It could be like self-thoughts that you have that you probably shouldn't have, or it can just be actions that you take that maybe don't affect other people, but maybe you're not doing your best. So toxicity can come in many levels, and I think billionaires are toxic within themselves in terms of like who they are as a person. Like, you just really, really like need to look so deep within yourself to be able to become a person that can do good in this world. And I'm not saying be good, I'm saying do good, because we don't need to label people. And I think that's like the issue with a lot of problems. We can just get into mudslinging, right? So just do fucking good.
Yeah.
And maybe world will change. Who knows? I'm at 1% battery. What should we do?
Let's wrap it up.
I always wrap it up. Sorry. I'm sorry.
All right.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right. Thanks.
Who are we?
We're Chai After Dark. Find us on Instagram and TikTok. And look us up on Spotify, Apple, and write us a little review on Apple. Give us 5 stars everywhere. And catch us next time.
Let's go. Let's millionaire out because we're not billionaires. Sorry, we're not millionaires either.